What's up, anime world? We're here with these two bitches, and we're gonna get into some fucking anime. All right, I'm tired of all the pleasantries, guys, because we watched Jobless and it didn't do nothing but piss me off. So I came in here in a bad mood. But I won't forget to introduce them. Bitch number one, Jake. Bitch number two, Frozen. How we doing, guys?
We still number one, baby. We still number one.
I'm fucking, guys. Listen, I'm just in a bad mood because
Canadians get no love. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, you know what gets
number
no
two,
love?
North America, baby.
Jobless ain't getting no love because it's
been trash for the last season too, buddy.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for me to find nice things to say about Jobless in this episode.
I'm gonna try my best to reform myself here and say some nice things. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay?
I will say I have a few nice things to say that are related to the anime, and nothing in terms of what actually happened for the 3 episodes I watched.
Oh. All right. Well, I mean, let's get in. What do you got to say? I want to hear it. We'll talk about Jobless first because we got to get it out of the way.
I will start by saying that very clearly in episode, I think it was 13. 13 is what it kicked off on. And there was definitely, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but I noticed it for sure. There was definitely an animated upgrade. The characters were more boldly outlined. The texture seemed a lot crisper, higher class. It kind of had a really nice animated vibe to it, and I like that. I like to see nice, crisp animations, good shadows, good detail, stuff like that. Another thing that changed, if you watched it in English and Japanese, I watched the first episode in both. But they definitely changed, and no one can convince me otherwise. They changed the voice actor of why do I Rudius? Yeah, it is definitely a different person that is made to sound the same.
English or Japanese?
In English.
Okay.
Because I know for a fact. I remember listening. Like, you can even go to episode 12 and then go to episode 13. It just sounds like a different person. So I don't know if maybe they just had like a child doing Rudius, and then it was like that's the sound of growing up. And they grew up over the break, and their voice dropped or they changed. But I am entirely convinced that it was definitely a man who was voicing him before, and now it's definitely a woman. I just hear it. I hear it in the voice.
We're gonna fact check that.
My man say he can hear cheekbones.
I mean, it just sounds different. It just sounds different to me. Maybe my ears are not trained to hear it.
We're gonna have to check that. Hey, and that's a catch on you, dude. Hey, I give it to you. But this guy watched it in Jap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I watched the first episode in both. Let me tell you, it wasn't any better in either or. Jesus. So yeah, let's break it down. My thoughts on this is everything I wanted to happen went the opposite direction. Did I think that it was kind of awesome that they were like, let's go find this spooky haunted mansion and fight some demon in it? Sure. Was it a demon? Nope. But in terms of how Rudius's future was going to be laid out, that is not exactly what I did not want to happen. In every way, shape, and form, I was angry. I was sitting in the university cafeteria, and I just wanted to throw my phone in the trash can and be like, and that's it. And that's a wrap for Jobless this season. I'm not watching it anymore. No, I don't like the idea that he's married to Sylvie or Selfie, whatever. I don't like it at all.
I'm gonna spoil it for Jake.
Sorry, well, Jake's not catching up. He thinks this is boring, anyways.
Can't wait to see my boy married. Did he finally solve his ED?
It's just spell? It's so weird. It's so
he got blue chew.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just it to me. It's weird, right? Like I don't like it. I think that he's just forgetting about every adventure he went on, and maybe they're just setting up for the fact that he's gonna go on an adventure and realize what he missed, or he's gonna run into the other people that he hasn't seen and realize those feelings. Maybe that's what they're setting up for. Who knows? But right now, it's not really feeling any love for me. I will say kudos to them for picking up exactly where it left off. They didn't really skip a beat on that one, which is good. Didn't feel like any break happened, which is nice. The wedding episode was, funny, cutesy. It was what it was. Obviously, some sentimental stuff in there, talking about their past and now the mysterious link to where Rudius comes from because of the other character. Also, I thought that was dope that they gave her potato chips, which was awesome. Again, I love the one purple god guy who shows up and he's just like, I come to surprise you, and I waited to surprise you intentionally. That stuff was all well and good, but as for what I wanted to happen in the storyline, that's a big 1 out of 10 for me. I didn't think that right away we were gonna be like, Rudius gets married, here we go, and I was like, no. Now, obviously, they have started it where it's a little stagnant and slow, but I mean, I kind of expected that. Demon Slayer's the same way, where the first few episodes don't really lead to anything, and they obviously have to bridge that gap that they're still in school. But I have a feeling that something is going to jump off because there's a lot of mystery now behind the princess that Sylvia guards. Right. And now I think that those are starting to come out. And I mean, obviously, we found out who her grandmother is. And that was kind of neat. And I feel like now Rudius is going to get forced onto an adventure, or something big's going to happen that's going to force him on an adventure. And I think that's kind of cool. That might lead to something better. Well, I don't know. I'm 2 episodes down still. I still have to watch the newest 2, but I was kind of waiting for them to come out in English dub because I'm just never really was a huge fan of the Japanese voice actors to begin with. So, I guess we'll see where it goes. Not the greatest episodes to start for a season 2, especially because I was all hyped up about the summer animes, and this one didn't feel like a great start for me.
I'm glad you brought up a shitty first episode. We can all say it. It was a shitty first episode.
Dude, you don't want to hear what I have to say about Kaiju number 8.
What's going on?
Guys, listen. As far as Jobless, I think I'm in the same boat of Andrew, as like I definitely was like, from everything that happened on part 1 of season 2, I was fully expecting the latter half of part 1 was jumping into this one and things getting rolling, but it jumped into the marriage and everything. Now Rudius is doing the right thing. I think they're following the decisions that him as a character would make in this scenario, and like that's where I'm like, okay, this is what would happen, this is what he would do. I think I was under the impression that the princess's whole deal about trying to get them together was so she would have Rudius on her side whenever she would go back to her land and have a strong mage on her side. But then she came out and was just like, oh yeah, if Sylvia decides that, she doesn't want to go back home with me, then like she's free of her, stuff with me. And I'm like, okay, well, there goes that plan out the window. Maybe she has something more underfooted going on. But I'm fully expecting it to pick up. I think this is just kind of setting the tone of like, hey, essentially, Rudius has made a family amongst these guys, and I think it's going to, maybe that's what they're trying to get across, and then maybe that comes in danger. Where they left it off of his dad, sending his sisters to him with a person that knows him and mysteriously is going to come back up. You see the shadow of who it is, so that's pretty exciting for that to pop up. So I think it's definitely going to pick up. I think that it was just a long 4 episode, whatever it was, drawn out like thing of like them just getting this all together before we really deep dive into stuff, or at least that's what I hope. Because if it's just if it's just a season of playing family, I'm going to be
I'm not going to be
utterly disappointed. I don't think that's going to be it, because it's already alluded to him kind of losing a little, like, not having money are losing a lot of money. I mean, he's bought a house, he's furnished a house, he's had a party, he's done all these things, and he's using money. And he's going to have to get money, and to do that, he's going to have to go on some adventures and do some things. So, and that money is going to get used up even more if there are people coming that he's also going to have to put up and take care of. So, we're going to get there.
Off topic. Did you see the size of the house he bought? Like, that thing was monstrous, which just proves to me one fact, that even in the anime world, it's more affordable to live there than it is to live in Canada.
Listen, he
All right, like just saying.
But the house turned out real nice. I think the one downside for me is like, man, it was what, 4 episodes, and Rudius only casted one spell.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it's like, come on, man, like the whole show is about you being this powerful mage, and you can cast without saying anything and all this stuff, and here you are house shopping and doing all this stuff. I get it, the love story between, maybe I'm like down on all that because I'm just not a big fan of Sylphie. I'm just not, like, she's not my girl. You know what I mean?
Not the wife who you wanted.
Not the one I wanted for him, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I don't know that this was the direction I was hoping. Well, I know it wasn't the direction I was hoping it was going to go.
I'm absolutely positive that it's gonna pick up. Like, I think after these 3 episodes, it's like, like I said,
maybe Steel Dragon Man will come back.
Yeah, something's gonna come back, and something's gonna interrupt, and he's gonna continue his training. Now that he's fixed his ED, I think he's kind of trying to lull himself into this life that he wanted in his old life, settling down with a woman and everything, and then he's gonna have to be snapped back to reality a little bit, like, hey,
yeah, honeymoon phase is over, back to work.
Yeah. Maybe she dies. I think that's it.
Jesus.
Like, maybe somebody comes and beheads Sylphie in front of him. He loses it, goes mad, goes on his Sasuke arc or something.
That's what we all wish.
He's really the villain. Yeah.
Listen, I need a turn of event. I need something to shake up. Yeah. Honestly, if Sylphie got doused, I don't think I'd care. I'll be honest with you guys.
Peaceful at night.
Listen, you know who I like.
That's that redhead, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Got that fire in her
little
belly.
kitty meow.
No, but I'm definitely expecting more. I think we're gonna get it though.
I'm hopeful.
And Jake's just lagging behind. He's got all
like episode 6 of season 2. It's so bad.
After he gets like the beginning of him being in that like just shitty mood.
Yeah, that was hard to get through.
I loved it. Like and then that party, getting him out of it, kind of getting him to go on some missions, him casting the spell, that huge spell, everything like that, and all that coming to fruition, him traveling with that guy he hated him at first. Boom, all that was smooth sailing. He gets into the school. I'm like, oh my God, this is where it's going to be even more amazing.
And it gets good too once they introduce the character that's from his world, which adds more of the mystery, the undertone, because now there's more people, which means, well, now people are like, how many other people have been reincarnated, right?
Yeah,
after all, there's called Jobless Reincarnation.
I will say I did like the subtle touch of him, like her failing and her going into that like deep depressive state, and
you him like
and like, no, just in terms of like he saw himself in her, what he's been through multiple times, and he helped her out of it, and then they ended up solving something, and now she has like all this hope, and like she's not just this stale character behind a white mask anymore. Like, she has a goal and she's working on it. So I was excited about that. That really was a really nice touch.
Okay, I'll get caught up because I have to. Actually, literally,
because I have to.
I'm not happy about it though.
I'm not happy about it. Okay,
hopefully the second half of season 2 is really good, like we all hope it is, because it's got potential. It has a great world. The world building was phenomenal in season 1, where you get to see a lot of the different parts of the world, the different ways people live and everything. But then season 2, you've been confined to like school grounds, and like it's just a school. There's no exploration. There's no magic and fantasy. It's more like a high school drama kind of thing going on.
Which is kind of what I'm worried this newest season of Demon Slayer is going to be. Is him confined to a single area and nothing.
But Demon Slayer's kind of known for that with their arc. So it's kind of like you're in this area for the arc, but it's still
action packed,
immersive. Yeah, it's still immersive a little bit.
All right, so we'll touch on it briefly. I know we're not going to touch on it as a whole, but just like overall thoughts, Jake. What's your overall thoughts so far of Kaiju Number 8? I think you and I are the only ones that dabbled in this one.
Interesting concept. So premise of the show is, I don't know, because they had a really good first episode. Because I don't want to ruin it for you.
You think so?
I think it was a pretty good first episode.
Okay,
I have differing opinions.
Apparently, I missed a memo in 2023/2024 where nobody explains anything that happens in this world, where it's just like they expect you to be a part of the world and you already know everything about it. This happened with Solo Leveling, except Solo Leveling did a better job of explaining what's going on. This literally just starts and they're giant freaking monsters called kaijus. And I'm like, I have so many questions. Where did they come from? Why are they here? Is this a world that's just existed with them the whole time? Is this something like the Fire Nation they just invaded one day? This is all stuff that has not been explained. And then it just, I mean, was it awesome? Yeah, it was cool. The action was cool. They have like a Titan thing going on where their bile is whatever is bad. Obviously, we learned they come in all shapes and sizes. They're not just super giant monsters. There's obviously some kinship and friendship, which is going to get passed on between Kafka and Mina. Obviously, they have a history, which was the only history that was brought up. So we know that these kaijus have existed for at least like 15 to 20 years. Reno, so far, I like him. He's got that
That's the white hair dude?
Yeah, that like Sasuke never give up kind of thing. I like that. But other than that, I was just mostly sitting there like, this was great. It was animated, great. It's nice that dubbed is released at the same time as subbed. But it just felt lacking in the story of what was happening. It just seemed like they just threw a bunch at you at once, and then you just kind of have to decipher what's going on. I'm sure they're going to have an episode that's going to deep dive into the past of what happened and so on and so forth. But right now, I feel like this is the thing animes are doing right now, where it's just, we expect you to know exactly what's happening, or we've expected that you read the manga and you have an idea of what's happening. But if you don't, if you're a new watcher, the only thing really appealing is what happens in the end of the first episode, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin it for Ox. But really, that's the only big part.
There's also animes that do that where, like, it's just not their vibe to give you all the information up front. Like, you get, you find out that information as you go along, and like sometimes that could be a little bit more fun.
It's a power move. They're like, hey, you're interested. Don't you want to find out more kind of thing? Yeah. But I do see where you're coming from as well.
Do I think this has monstrous potential? Absolutely. I think it will be fantastic, and it will be a great action-packed anime. But as far as first episodes go, much like Jobless and kind of much like Solo Leveling, this is down on the below 5 out of 10 scale for me.
More potential, Kaiju Number 8 or Solo Leveling? Or do you got to see more Kaiju Number 8?
I have to see more Kaiju Number 8 because Solo Leveling ended just so good, and the potential for Solo Leveling feels like it's unlimited. But I also see it there for Kaiju Number 8. I just need to see, after the end of the first episode, I just kind of need to see where this spins, because and Jake's going to understand this, I'm going to say it vaguely. I want to know if it's him on the run all the time, or if it's something where they're going to, like Eren Yeager, and they're going to learn to work together. Because
the second one.
Okay, because like that's what I was worried about. I was like, is this going to be like a on the run from the popo the whole time. Like I don't know. And then Mina and him are gonna have a butting of heads, but we'll see. Obviously we'll see.
Episode 2, they do a good job of explaining that. But
okay,
like good. You said, first episodes this year have been. Did JJK come out this year, or was that last year?
I mean, technically it was last year, but
was it technically last year?
Yeah,
JJK. The beginning of that season, the first episode was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was
that's
really,
probably the last
really good.
First episode.
I was hooked in the first episode. That was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's just I feel like just a lot of them are. I'll tell you one that was not a disappointment. If you're just looking for sheer lighthearted and delight, Delicious in the Dungeon is just
pause.
Like it's just
not watching that. That's not going on my search history.
Absolute fun. It's like the Minecraft of anime world. You just watch it because it's lighthearted and funny. And it actually had a great first episode for me. I know there's a few episodes.
I'm gonna pull a Jake. I don't like the anime style. I mean,
of Delicious in the Dungeon?
Kaiju?
Or Kaiju?
Delicious in the Dungeon looks kind of...
It's kind of rustic looking.
Yeah, it looks kind of different.
But wait, you're prepared to sit there and tell me you don't like that anime style and you liked Ranking of Kings?
Buddy, it was a joke.
But it was a joke.
Listen.
I keep trying to search for it on Crunchyroll, and it's so funny because Delicious Party Preview comes up.
It's a Netflix thing. It's a Netflix thing.
Okay.
Which, by the way, Netflix, I hate you for taking away your mid-tier subscription and now forcing everyone to pay more. So I hope your company burns in hell.
But I'll still watch it.
It doesn't affect you
do
guys.
Still have good originals.
Every other country is affected except the United States. You greedy pigs.
Listen, if you were about it, you boycott it. You stop watching it right now. You cancel your subscription right now.
I don't have a subscription to Netflix. I've been boycotting it for years.
But how you watching it?
I stole it from somebody else.
Oh, there you go. Why are you complaining? You know what I'm saying? Listen.
Thievery. Okay.
Netflix. Track his IP. Get him.
Ox was kind of capping. I kind of like Netflix's animation style.
No, I just was saying it just to say that's what Jake normally says.
Sure, buddy.
Did not watch an anime like an amazing anime like Mob Psycho.
I was about to say there's only 2 animes I've never watched because of animation. Mob Psycho. And
I cannot do.
Listen, Mob Psycho animation is better than like One Piece beginning animation. I mean, it is. It is. I mean, you can't cap on
One
that.
Piece is just a league of its own. Like,
yeah, but the animation, as far as animation goes.
Yeah, because it was made in the 90s.
Yeah, I was about to say Code Geass's animation's bad, but it's rustic.
I mean, look what Studio Ghibli was making in the 90s, and look what One Piece is.
You know what? They were what we call an ascension class, and they just know. All right, like they just know. Although speaking of One Piece, this really cool news was that yesterday, and this of yesterday of the day of filming, so I guess technically May 1st, there was a One Piece cafe opened in Las Vegas, and it is head to toe One Piece. You walk in, and I don't know if we can throw some clips in here. I can send you some clips, whatever. We'll figure it out. But if you haven't, check it out. It's in Las Vegas. There's tons of TikToks and Instagrams on it. Head to toe, it is One Piece. One whole wall is painted to be continued in the exact animation style. The other wall has all the wanted posters on it and their current values. They've got like cakes and desserts that are like the hats of Tony Chopper, like the different fruits. It's amazing. All of their desserts and food are all One Piece inspired, oriented, everything. And apparently the people there, the chefs and the pastry chefs and all that make the food, the sky is the limit. I've heard that they're thinking and then they're experimenting with making a full-on 3-sword like style of food or pastry that you will be able to order and get. Like it's
Four
got
sword style.
Four sword style.
Yeah. Can I get onigiri, please?
Yeah, but you'll be able to do stuff like that. But right now, it's just the small, simple stuff. You can get like the gum fruits. You can get different characters. Some of their outfits are made into like cookies. Most notably, the Tony Chopper cake, where it's like his entire top half, like his hat, and it's like a cupcake, and it's awesome.
I like that. I mean, nice.
And they've got all of the like the banners hanging from the roof, and it looks inside. It looks almost like a rustic kind of pirate ship. So I gotta say, it's really, really awesome. Hats off to them. We've talked about it many times on this show about how anime integrating into real life. Las Vegas is a perfect location for this. They'll probably see tons and tons of revenue. I mean, it was lined up. The average wait to get a single cupcake was over 6 hours for the past 2 days. So
I love their Luffy meal option because it's all meat.
Yeah,
just all meat.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's stellar, man. Like they leaned right into it.
We've been talking about this for years.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really cool though, man. I'm waiting for something to like pop up in like Raleigh or somewhere that I can, go enjoy,
actively, yeah.
Which just like naturally means that after Anime North, we're just going to have to sit down with these restaurateurs and talk about and have an interview with them in Las Vegas at the One Piece Cafe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to request Sanji make my meal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, y'all got that there. Side note, have you ever seen the TikTok memes where it was like, what would you do if your wife made 100,000? And then it's the anime of the guy sitting there watching the Roomba.
Oh, no. I know what anime you're talking about.
The Way of the Husband is what it's called. I just saw it. Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Apparently that's hilarious.
Yeah, I added it to my list. That looks funny.
Turbo said he'd watch that and it's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Turbo has an awful sense of humor, though.
Yeah, he's like
from the man who brought you Dick Fight Island.
What's the like the mob that's always like referenced in like anime and stuff?
Oh,
the Yakuza or whatever.
Yeah, the Yakuza.
Yeah,
you know that's a real mob in real life.
Well, yeah, that's what I said reference. And that's what he used to be in, and now he's not, and now he's like dealing with this
house husband.
He's some violent dude, and he's a house husband, so he like flips out at shit. So I need to watch it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Now I do like what Turbo does. Him and his wife, they alternate a week. So like he'll pick an anime for a week, they'll watch it that week, and then she'll pick one the next week. That's pretty neat. I do it.
They're on a down spout right now because like the one that they're on they don't like, so like they're not like actively like finishing it. So
they're not vibing on it. I get that.
But they gotta finish it, right? So
I have watched a few.
I think it's Black Butler. They're watching Black Butler currently.
Oh my, that's a struggle to watch.
Yeah. Couldn't get into Black Butler. It's you know what? It's different strokes for different folks. I mean, for me, I could not get into Black Clover. Couldn't do
Black
it.
Black Clover's a Turbo. It's let it spool up a little bit.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just.
But it's like 100 episode spool.
Listen, buddy.
Yeah,
if you got through Fairy Tail, I don't want to hear any excuse.
First 3 episodes,
I can't get through Fairy Tail. I get to the same spot every time, and I can't do it. Like I just.
What spot is that? How far is that?
So right after Gaijil arrives, they have the parade, and then and that's it. I can't get past it. I'm not interested anymore after that point. Maybe I should just start from that point. But
hey, that's what you got to do sometimes. I'm bad for that too. If I restart, like I could watch an anime to episode like 275, and then it's like, oh, you know what? I want to pick it up again. Why do I start over? I have no idea. It's a rule.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What you got to do? You have to do it.
We'll see. All right, let's change tracks here. We've got some small video games to talk about and a very, very large debate to go through on this.
Small indeed.
And one of them being that I've talked quite a bit about the First Descendant coming out. It's one of the games I'm anticipating. I've nicknamed it the Destiny Killer, as of many people, although we all know at this point Destiny's pretty much dead anyways. And I think this is just more the nail in the coffin. But the First Descendant, I've played in all the alphas, I've played in all the betas so far. This one it had a surprise beta release for May 24th and 25th of this month. And it is going to be basically just stress testing everything, all the new implementations, and doing everything that you can to overload their servers. I think it's like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, the game will actually launch. So it's more or less just a test to make sure that, they don't fall victim to the same thing that every gaming company feels like they've done so far, and that's day one they can't get their servers up and running. And
it's a crossplay beta too.
It is. It's a crossplay beta. Yeah, it will be. And again, of course, with all the other alphas and betas, if you do a certain amount of time or a certain amount of quests, you will get something in the game that carries over. All of them purely cosmetic, just to basically say you've been through the alphas and betas. And it's a lot of fun. I've played this game with 8 people. I've played this game solo. The game is completely soloable. So many different unique classes. I've also played in parties where I've had 4 or 5. I even had one time where my Discord was loaded. I had 8 people playing, and it was 2 groups of 4. It was awesome. We ended up maxing the group that I was in. We ended up maxing the difficulty tier to the point where the game was just like, that's enough. Stop cheesing this mechanic. And they absolutely just threw a raid boss on top of us. And it stomped us. And it was like we hit level like 27, and they were like, enough of this. And the players dropped, and our damage was 0. We were shooting it, and it was 0, and then it just literally stomped us out. I was like, okay. Dang. So that's something they put in there. They were just like, stop grinding this. So I'm really excited for that to come out. Obviously, June is the expected release date for the actual game. And I think that this will get a lot of attention, a lot of traction really quickly. And hopefully we'll have quite a few people to play with yet again. That would be nice. I miss playing games with people.
I think you're right. I think it's going to get a lot of attention and a lot of attraction for a month, and then it's going to be over.
And that is what we're going to talk about. And that in this day and age of gaming, why is it that everything feels like clickbait? Every game that comes out now is just like, what has your attention for a week and then it's dead. I mean, one of the prime examples, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Although I like the game, I think it's fun, it's grindy. I like grindy games. But the problem is the game is a live service game. And if you go on Steam right now, it has less than 100 active players. You cannot play a grindy game when globally there are less than 100 people, because in things where you need a group, you're not finding a group. Like, you go into it knowing you're not going to find the group, which means you can't push the harder difficulties of the game without a group. Some of them just become an impossibility. One game that's classic for this is Helldivers. It had the biggest launch, ever. And it was hugely popular. It wasn't expensive, which was nice. And a lot of people got on board. But then, the hype started to fall, and people started to not be able to play in groups as much anymore. And it was left to people playing solo. And the game is impossible to play solo. You cannot play it solo.
Yeah, as far as all-time peak, Helldivers is 13 on all of Steam. So every Steam game to ever release, all-time peak is number 13. So that's pretty high.
Yeah. And I'll say it about Manor Lords as well. Manor Lords is just the new flavor because one person made the game, not some big conglomerate. Same thing as Helldivers. Not a giant company that made this game, just an indie company that made it, or in this case, one guy. It has all the hype of everything, but this is one guy. He cannot make more content in a week. He's probably been working on this game for 10 years. And it's just like, it's going to get boring. It's going to get stale. People are going to max it. then people are going to min-max it, and then it's going to fall flat. And for those that don't know what min-maxing is essentially a technique in MMO games where you precisely tune your stats to specifically do certain tasks in the game. It's more commonly known in games like WoW and Final Fantasy, Lost Ark, stuff like that.
Well,
where you
I think that one might be a little bit different because it's more along the lines of it's really just like a village builder with RTS aspects. So like think about how successful like Age of Empires is, right? Like I think any game that is patchable but and can change the meta just by changing a few values are the games that can like stick around. So I mean that's partly why League of Legends stays so popular. You know, all they got to do is put in and change Cho'Gath's health from base 400 to base 350, you know, and all of a sudden that takes him from being an S tier top laner to a B tier top laner, you know. And, you know, those kinds of games with those kind of values are, you know, I think things like, you know, they'll probably be able to do it a little bit with like with Manor Lords where they'll say, oh, you know, people just like RTS playing that solo and playing 4 players. So I don't think it's going to be like wildly, I think it's probably going to like float around there like Age of Empires does, something new and fresh. Yeah, a different spin on an RTS game is what people have probably been looking for a long time, which is probably why it's a little bit more popular. But I mean, things like take a look at Power World. Power World was, I'd be interested where they are at on that list, but like extremely successful.
I was gonna say it's still really popular, and they actually are about to release a newest thing. But I think Power World's popular due to its Pokemon-esque style. If the Pokemon game company had, you know, finally nutted up and made a game like Power World, it would be the biggest game played right now on the planet.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was a different and it was a new survival too. Like it's a new survival craft game, where you get out there and you can do this cool stuff. But like at the end of the day, like you said, like, you know, 13 people can't push out like the content that everybody wants and fast enough. So. And by the time they're able to do that, it's fallen off so much, it's just second thought. Like, no one's watching Power World Twitter to see the latest news on the PvP patch. Like, it's just not happening. People are really into games where every couple weeks there's a meta shift.
And that's hard to do. Like, even in the world of Call of Duty, it gets stale. Even in games like League of Legends and Valorant, who are like the kings of meta shift. Like Valorant will go in huge spikes where it's really, really good at the beginning of the season, and then the meta shifts and people will play and it's awesome, but then it will start to stale out and it will drop, and then they'll introduce a new meta shift or a new operator and it will scale up. But at the core of it, it's the same game. It's the same competitive shooter. It's the same thing with Modern Warfare. Oh, this week we added NBA players instead of soccer players. It's just people fall prey to the cosmetic, maybe, or it's like Fortnite. Fortnite's famous for this, right? It's the cosmetic allure. I mean, I went back to play the Avatar thing in Fortnite because I love Avatar. It was cool. They added airbending to it. Now I cannot wait for next Tuesday to come, because as soon as they get rid of airbending, I can get back to killing people, because the game feels unplayable while everyone is zipping around on airbending clouds or airbending wisps and stuff like that, and you can't do anything because they're basically unstoppable. And it's the same thing with water bending, which is like a built-in sniper rifle. So it's just like new phases that these games go through that keep them popular. So things like Fortnite, Call of Duty, League of Legends, where new skins, new this, new that, new events. It keeps them relevant, keeps them going, but they're also made by people that they have 500 workers that can release new things every 2 weeks. Whereas a lot of these
releases,
a lot of these games are just in development. I mean, some of the biggest flops of this year, things like Hogwarts Legacy, Suicide Squad, big games that have big titles, but because they just can't whip up the content, it just falls flat, and people always want the new. They don't want to keep playing, which is why I don't know how. I don't know the answer, but for some reason, World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy are still just chugging along. And maybe it's just because they're the only two MMOs that really just stand alone in the category. They've been out so long that people have devoted so much time to it. Like, I'm convinced my brother won't play another game because when you have 9 million hours invested in your character, there's no way you walk away from it, right? You can't. It's a sickness at that point. Like for me in Lost Ark characters, I have over 400 hours in Lost Ark gameplay, and I'll continue to play it when something new comes out because I've invested that time, I've invested that grind, which kind of brings me to my next point. People don't do that anymore. The new generation of gamers don't grind anymore. They want immediate satisfaction and gratitude. There's no more grinding, man. I remember in WoW when you would have to spend months trying to get all of your gear because you were doing raids over and over again and dungeons over and over again. And it just, you didn't get the gear, it didn't drop, or it went to somebody else or something like that. But people don't want to do that anymore. They want I need it in the quest reward. I need it here. I need it there. They don't want to grind anymore. If they want to grind or they want to make something, they'll play Lego Fortnite, or they'll play Minecraft, or they'll play whatever, right? Something homey and Stardew Valley-ish to do that because it passes time and there's nothing serious that's going to happen in it, right?
I still don't like. I mean, obviously, I did a long time ago. You know, growing up, whenever I was a kid, but like, I don't see why people still pay $60 for a game that they complete in 18 hours.
Yeah, solo games. Yeah,
like for the life of me, like I get like the hype behind Hogwarts Legacy and all that stuff, but I'm sitting here like, you guys spent $60 to $70 on a game that you completed in 3 sit-down sessions, right?
Yep.
Unless you're a completionist and, you know, did all that stuff. But like, I'm just like, League of Legends is a free game
for some of us.
Yeah, unless you know, obviously you can buy the stuff, but like, League of Legends is a free game, and I've gotten more, you know, gameplay out of that than like anyone could ever do.
Yeah,
playing.
It's the same thing I've explained to my brother because we always have the battle of Lost Ark and WoW, and I said, you pay $13 every single month to do the same thing and the same dungeons and the same stuff, and mind you do have like every mount in the game, which is awesome. I don't pay a dime for Lost Ark, and I never have, because when you get it, you can use in-game currency to buy the premium currency, which then you can turn to get, you know, some of those RPGs have like the paid subscription buff where you get more teleporting and stuff like that. Well, you can use in-game gold to buy the premium currency to then turn around and get the crystalline aura in Lost Ark. So I just always have crystalline aura, not to mention they give it away free on Twitch. And I've never had to pay a dime into Lost Ark. And I've grinded characters right to the max level of gear. I've never had to invest any of my own money, which is another reason why I enjoy playing it, as I can still have that grindy feeling and that challenging feeling of boss mechanics. But I don't have to invest everything. Now, mind you, I will say that I think right now one of the hilarious trends is the fact that WoW stat squished everything. And now the mythic dungeons essentially, and this might not make sense to all of you, but essentially if you were a gear level that's really, really high, you would be pushing mythic dungeons that were like in the 13 plus tier. Well, now if you do a mythic dungeon level 2, which would be pretty easy, it feels like it's a mythic like 20 because they've stat squished everything. And if you don't have the gear to do it now, you need to do dungeons again to get the gear. So I think it's hilarious because people are back to raging and booting people out of parties and running off cliffs, and it's hilarious. But it's just, I don't know. People just seem to need something fresh, and I think it's partly on our own problem too, because people aren't patient anymore. They don't have the time or the wantness to grind something. They just want, like I said, that immediate satisfaction of a game. But now, then you know what? If you really want a game that badly, if it does bad enough, it'll end up on Game Pass somewhere, or a free game on Epic or something, they'll give it away for free. Like
someone's gonna get it for free.
Yeah, somebody's getting it for free. Or you could do what I used to do and be a content creator and get it for free. So that's always the fun part.
I don't even get I mean, I get that there's stories. You're following the lore. Like, dude, man, I haven't even finished the latest God of War game, dude. I get an hour into it and I get bored, man. Like, honestly, like, I mean, people are gonna hate on me for that, like, because I know how big God of War is. I mean, it's awesome. It's cool, but like, I get into it and I use the, I don't know.
I think people get annoyed with the grind. Like, this is something that happened to me with Spider-Man, because I wanted to play Spider-Man 2 so badly that I played every Spider-Man game back to back to back, beat them, like you said before, 18 hours, so on and so forth. And then I got to Spider-Man 2, started doing the same thing, and I was like, this is the same thing. There is only so many times you can web around New York City. And you're just like, I lost the appeal.
And the other thing is, like, people don't want to express their, like, whenever you play a game, you don't want your grind. You want your skill to express, like, when you're good at a game or something. Like, I don't want, like, I want people to know that I did super good in this raid in World of Warcraft because I just know how to balance my buffs, my debuffs, and my procs and everything like that, rather than me just spending 80 hours getting, this gear. Like, why can't my, you know what I mean? Like, I
get it.
That's how I feel about it.
Another thing that WoW is good for is that armor gratification. You have a set of armor that does something, it glows. Each stage of it. If you're a mythic raider, your armor probably has some wild animation to it. And you can stand around with pride knowing that you grinded to get that stuff. But that's the things that people don't want to do anymore. They want it immediately. And I mean, the one thing that I kind of like that all the video gaming has kind of taught me with MMOs is that, man, my micro movements are just on point. Like, my brother has always said to me, we need someone like you in a raid because you don't get hit by boss mechanics. And it's just like, that's something that you don't find anymore. People just want to sit there and tank everything. Yeah, and it's just like, you can't do that. That's the game is intended for you not to do that.
Imagine doing a boss 20 fucking times and never getting the chest piece you need. Like, that shit's fucking annoying. Yeah. Right? Unless you're Andrew and you get it first drop like he always used to when we played World of Warcraft. Don't let him convince you that the RNG gods were on his side, because they were.
Bro, you guys gave away a shield to a tank that left the guild a week later. And I needed that shield. I held bosses at the same time.
But you were getting every piece of gear before that. You know what I'm saying? You probably got that gear you probably got that shield the next day from a boss that doesn't even drop it. That's how good your RNG was.
Anime Rift, people, this might mean nothing, but tanks are not supposed to hold two bosses at the same time. Usually they're supposed to be tanked on opposite ends of the room, hence why you bring two tanks. This guy was so good at his role, we just went with the strat that I tanked both the bosses in the same corner. All right? Because I was the only one that knew how to survive long enough to do it. So I was the man of stacks, all right? I used to have, like, they're like, no, 10 stacks will kill you. I'm like, hold my beer. All right, 25 stacks later, I'm getting hit. I have every healer on me. I'm like watching green, red. My health bar looks like, I don't even know. It looks like something detecting radiation. It's like at this point, and it's we're just praying that
imagine doing like raids with a group for like 2 or 3 weeks, and you beat the boss and it finally drops what you need, and then they give it to somebody else, right? And you wonder why people want to their shit now, like, right? Like, that shit's like you go into a fucking heroic dungeon and you get something that you need to finally up your gear score, and they say, oh, roll 100, and then you got somebody that doesn't even wear it that rolls and wins the roll, and by rule he gets it, right?
So,
like,
the thing is,
so they fucking give it to him, and boom, it's gone.
And then they had to do away with all that. Now everything's personal loot. Now the boss drops, you have the same chance as everybody else does. So it's they did away with it.
I mean, I don't think people like dislike the grind. I think people dislike the grind when it's the same thing over and over again. When I have to do this, when I like, nobody wants to do fucking dailies. Who wants to log in and do a round of dailies to get this little bit of reputation, to get a reroll and do all this stuff? Like, give me some unique shit.
That's one of the things that I think is the downfall of Lost Ark is you have to hone gear to earn higher pieces of gear. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you're at the phase like me and Swanee and Kay are at, you could do an entire week's worth of dailies and you might hone 3 pieces of gear. Maybe.
Swanee doesn't hone any.
If you don't fail, because you can use all these mats, lose all these mats. Now, mind you, they're easy to grind back, but it's still, you might only progress. I mean, in the past 2 weeks, I've progressed 100 gear score. And
is that good or bad?
Yeah, is that a lot?
It's bad.
Okay.
Like,
I don't believe it.
So
you're
the
RNG,
max gear,
you're lying.
The max gear right now that you can have, the rating is 1650. I'm currently 1460 on 2 of my characters, almost about to be that on my 3rd character. But once you hit 1460 and start to get into the 1500s, the percent chance of honing success is 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're hitting that every time.
So you have to do it a bunch of times because I think it's after like 10 fails, they give it to you for free. Like they're just like, okay, here, you failed enough times. Yeah. So it does feel like a grind. You grind and grind and grind. You do the same boss mechanics over and over again to make that gear. But once you are there, like you're untouchable, right? Like you're just
and you also got to think like we're in a situation where you can't blame people for not wanting to grind when they're just like us. They're out there working an 8 to 5 job.
For sure.
You get home, you do whatever you need to do. You take care of your kids, you cook dinner, you get online for a couple of hours. But imagine only having 2 hours a night to play World of Warcraft and having the like you have the skill to be able to play, be in a mythic raiding group. But like it's going to take you years. By the time you get to that point, the next expansion drops.
So I call that the LFR champion because there's absolutely no way you get into a legitimate raid. You have to raid finder it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm sorry. You got people that just have full-time jobs that don't have there are people out there that I say the same thing about art, right? I wish I could hop on it and grind it fucking 12 hours a day like some of these people do and be, alphas on these servers. But me and Jake can only get on to 2-3 hours a night to build our simple, 2x2 metal base with 1 fucking turret. And then somebody comes and raids us with 18 fucking stegos. Like, there's no way that I can keep up. Like, of course I want some, and that's not to take any away from anybody else. Cause hey, you got the time to grind, But like, there also needs to be some, somebody's got to figure it out at some point, how to equalize all the
and that's exactly it. Like I get on Lost Ark once a day on all my characters. It takes me like an hour max. I do my dailies, I do my dungeons, and then the only days I get are Saturday and Sunday where I get together with Kay and Swanee and we'll do the raid. We'll do a Guardian raid where we can actually lay down with a group of people and try to finish the boss if they know the boss mechanics. I also learned this week that a lot of people don't know how to read a clock. So I learned that
we need to release a game where there's servers called part-timers.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's only the servers are only open from like 4 to 8 or something like that.
And you have to take a mandatory break around 8 o'clock when you have to put your kid to bed.
Your character's time, you're literally only allowed 4 hours of playtime a day on said server, right?
Yeah.
Like, there you go. Or it accumulates through the week, and then there you go.
Anytime after 8:30, after you've put your kid to bed, double XP from 8 till 10 o'clock. Like,
that's it.
We add the buff.
It asks you all these questions, like a questionnaire. Do you have kids? Yes. What time is their bedtime? 8:30.
Yeah.
And it just takes all the notes down and then it recommends a server just for you.
Yeah. I was saying to Emily the other day, because both her and my brother are trying to grind out the battle pass in Fortnite because they really like the skins that come at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that Fortnite started doing is that after you finish the battle pass, they added 5 more pages of really outlandish cosmetics for characters that you get in the battle pass. I have done the math, and to reach the coolest looking ones, you have to be level 450. And
Dang.
I looked at Emily and I said, that those skins are exclusive to content creators, because there is no way that anybody who casually plays this game gets to 450.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't no way, unless you're Ninja or you're Cypher and you play the game 9 hours a day and you can grind that. And wait though, what's the only other way you can get it? Well, just as you just happen to know, you can buy them.
Oh.
So if you spend enough V-Bucks, you can just buy them. So you can buy your way to 450 if you have that much disposable income, which I can tell you, if you live in Canada, you don't. So, but anyways, yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential for games. It's just right now we're way off course from what they used to be. I really wish that we could get back to a game company that cares about keeping their game alive instead of just, sending it to fodder, and then we all surf Twitter for that eventual note that says, hey guys, the servers are going to go dead for this game in, a week and a half, and we're sorry you bought it and you gave us your money, but you get nothing for this.
And if they're going to force, these companies that, sell chicken and stuff to, say, hey, stop inflating these prices. If inflation is affecting chicken, it needs to affect, in-game shit, too. Because these League of Legends skins are getting out of pocket.
Yeah,
Okay?
$20?
Yeah. I used to could pay $10 and I could get I can get, 1,350 RP plus, and I'll be straight.
That all started with Valorant. You know that, right? When it was $40 for a gun skin, and you're
Valorant skins are expensive.
No, it's absurd.
It's like $60 for a knife.
I know, so what was it? Somebody surprised me by getting me a cool skin. And my first reaction was, this is cool. My next reaction was, bro, why did you spend $60 to get this knife skin? That is not worth it. You could have bought a whole game for that.
Yeah. You owe them a humongous favor. I mean, they might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think something's gonna come along though. It's gonna break through. It's gonna change the gaming dynamic. They're just
First Descendant.
I don't think it's gonna be that.
It's gonna be that one. But guys, I gotta be right eventually.
Because the thing about that type of game, I think the premise of it is really good, but I think that the target audience for that is pretty small. If they're doing it the same as a what's the game? Destiny.
So it's like Destiny, Warframe put together.
Yeah. So it's going to be a casual player isn't going to be doing the high end shit. Because I would assume it's just like Destiny, where the raids are fucking hard, the puzzles are hard.
Well, no one's actually, they haven't released any raid in the actual alpha, so no one knows what that's gonna be like. But the nice thing is in the First Descendant, it is possible for casual people to do stuff. Because they do these hop-up events where if you can get on, and they span them a whole weekend long. It's not just a couple of hours here and there.
Right.
Where you can do a catch-up where all the item stuff is double, the XP is a little increased. Also, if you are a more casual player, you do get a buff that will boost everything that you're doing as a solo player or as a casual player. Whereas if you're current, you don't get that buff, right? Which is nice, because then you're still grinding at the top end, but in the bottom half, you're not really feeling too far left behind. None of the chassis are out of reach. Nothing in the game so far That's the thing. It's everything so far is out of reach of any one person. And one of the biggest thing, which I know they've taken out of like 90% of games, it doesn't matter what level you are. You can go back and help people. What happens is the game will scale down the highest player. So like if I'm sitting there in like 15,000 plus gear and I'm playing with someone that's brand new to the game, and I go in, they host the party, I go into the party, it scales me down to a little higher than what they're at. So I'm still relevant. I can still do the damage. I can still carry the team. But if it comes to a boss scenario, they're still going to need to contribute. I can't just do it myself because I'm not going to have the health pool and I'm not going to have the damage because it's all been, bit off. But this is where it's going to favor people that have the mechanic style, because my game mechanics will carry it alone, where I know don't get hit by this, it creates a lot of really good teachable moments where you can teach people to do something and be like, hey, stand back and see how this mechanic is done, and I'll show you, as opposed to yell at people, make your group angry. And again, the game's completely soloable, so all of the enemies scale to your power, your item, your everything, even the bosses. So nothing is way out of reach of anybody. Now there will be zones that say this is a level 50 zone. You probably shouldn't be here if you're not level 50. But other than that, the game, you can play it. Like I said, I played it completely solo. I've played it in groups of people. Obviously, every game is more favorable in groups of people. But again, completely soloable game. You can still reach end game, or at least for me, end beta content without needing a group of people to do it.
Nice. We'll see. I give it 6 weeks.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a completely fair assessment. I can agree with that.
Fair number.
6 weeks. If it's not dead, I'll be impressed. And I can say that it will be one of those success stories. But you're right. 6 weeks. If it's not dead, then kudos to it. Good job.
For sure. Well, I reckon before we end this, we're supposed to give some kind of Anime North.
Ooh, that's right. We should remind everyone that, hey guys, we are going to be at Anime North this year, which is taking place the May 24th and 25th of May in Toronto, Canada. It is the second largest anime convention in North America. So if you guys are going and you want to see us do our bits live, we are going to be there. We are still waiting on our times, but we will get back to you. Friday and Saturday, we're going to have a show, both unique shows, and we want you to be there. And guys, what are we going to say? What's something that we are going to pass on, each one of us, our knowledge of what we're going to bring to this audience? What are we going to say to them?
Oh no, you go first.
Yeah. Set the mood.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to say is Anime North. My name is Andrew, or I go by Frozen Peas as my moniker. I've been gaming since I was a child. I have been a professional gamer and a content creator. I absolutely love bringing my Canadian pride to everything, no matter how hard that is nowadays. And I cannot wait to be here with you guys and delivering the greatest Anime North experience and bringing my knowledge of anime and gaming to you guys. So I'm excited. Let's do this.
Hey.
Buddy, I've given you the whole spiel of who I am before. All right.
Okay.
People on Xbox know who I am. All right.
Give it to us. Give it to us. Go.
I couldn't do it. I'm Jake, as always. Probably the best takes of all the hosts. I give you how it is, honest, true. You might hate it, but it's true. So.
Hey, keeps it honest. All right.
I was really hoping for the J2K,
Yeah, I was waiting for the J2K, Jake the Snake.
It was the J2K,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. Listen, I guess, say the best for last. That's what I always say. I'm Ox. My friends call me Ox, so you can call me Ox. You know what I'm saying? We watch anime. We do our thing. So, What's up, brother? We're here and we're ready.
I thought he was going to say, my name's Ox, but you can call me anytime.
Call me crazy. Please you call me. Listen, me and Jake are from the South, so if you can't understand us, I don't know. Can we get live subtitles? Because we might need them.
No, all we're gonna need is wet floor signs and a few mops.
They're gonna be like, "Who's this twangy tan dude up here that don't know what he's talking about?"
Where'd y'all find that boy at?
The only thing that's gonna break your guys' hearts is the conversion rate. All right.
Listen, I'm not happy about having to pay $8 for a McChicken.
$8 is cute. I wish it was that cheap. Oh, guys, yeah, but we're gonna be at Anime North. It's gonna be really exciting. We're gonna give you guys a great performance. So make sure that you guys follow us on all of our social medias to find out exactly when we are going to be doing it, and make sure you come say hi. We want to meet you guys. So yeah, make sure you swing by, say hi. You'll see us walking around. We'll wear something anime related, hat, sweater, shirt, something that will identify us.
I need a Stay Sexy shirt.
Yeah, that would actually be awesome.
Just ciao.
And yeah, I don't know, guys. That's
and ass eater or something.
Oh my god, one time.
Ass eater, ciao, stay sexy.
Yeah, Mr. Munch.
Mr.
Munch, certified Munch. All right, certified Munch. All right.
Hey, I like it.
You know what? Hey, it'll pull. It'll pull. All right.
Pull a restraining order. That's
all I gotta say is this is an all ages event, people. All right, all ages, all ages. ID.
We're kid friendly. All right.
Listen.
That's all I got to say for tonight's one, guys. I know we ran a little long talking about games, but
yeah, I'm straight. I've had to pee for, I ain't gonna lie, about 45 minutes.
All right, well, I guess we'll just
scroll back about 37 minutes, and you can learn something from old Ox. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
It's gonna freeze frame somewhere about 36 minutes ago. Y'all wait for it.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
With that being said, we'll go ahead and end this one. Again, guys, thanks for watching. We always love having you here as such a great supportive audience. Make sure that you listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Catch us on YouTube and hit the notification bell and give us a like and a follow. And we are getting closer and closer to Anime North, and we cannot wait to bring the Anime Rift to you guys. So with that being said, I guess there's only one thing left to say, and that is thanks so much for watching. We're excited for everything coming up in the future. We love you guys so much, and we will catch you next week on the Anime Rift.
Stay sexy.
Ciao.
Cholo homeboy sitting there.
Oh, you say I'm a cholo because I'm brown.